Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening for us. I am back here. I am your host, Lionel Tavares from the Sabbath at Midnight. And again, we have a returning guest, very special lady that I had a podcast with a couple podcasts ago. A very intelligent lady. I had her back on, Sharon Day. And today we're going to be discussing something a little bit more different, something a little bit more exciting that I think a lot of people would enjoy to hear, because it's just one of those subjects that you can just keep going on. And everything from lizard people to giants to the devil to what is all related to this. UFOs, the Nazis. There's so many things. Bigfoot, mammoths, dinosaurs, all coming from this theory. Am I wrong? We're going to be talking about the hollow earth. Okay, the hollow earth theory, and there's so many avenues that we can go. But before we get into that, before I let Sharon take it away, please, Sharon, again, give everybody your website and some information about where to find you and your books and stuff like that.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm the blogger of ghosthuntingtheories.com. It has a massive library of information on anything unexplained, from psychics to little people to giants to Bigfoot, ghosts, you name it. I'm extremely deep researcher. I'm in it for my own edification. I grew up in a haunted Civil War hospital, and since then have encountered many different facets of the unexplained. And also being a logical Virgo type, I always wanted to know what's going on and how can I figure it out in my own mind. But I like to share the journey with others because I think it's important to get them excited to learn. And on Ghost Hunting Theories, I very often give links and ways to go and look for your own answers. You don't have to accept mine. They're my own theories, my own hypotheses. When it comes to Hollow Earth, that's been a passion of mine there's a few subjects that just get my juices flowing, and I can't stop thinking instinctively there's something there. And this is one of those theories.
Yes, it's definitely one of those subjects that could just keep going on forever. You can keep thinking about it until we actually go to one of us actually goes there. We're going to keep thinking about it.
Absolutely.
But just to start off here, I would like for you to take the floor. So let's start off with what is one of the main things you ran in. Like, how did you get into the Hollow Earth? What was the first thing you heard about or read up on?
Well, the first thing I ran into actually was probably about 16 years ago. I was reading about a team that wanted to go find Hollow Earth, and they were raising money for this ship ride up to the North Pole looking for an entrance. And I thought, well, what Hollow Earth? What is that? And so I started reading up on what they were conceptualizing about there being an Earth within Earth. And I thought, I love Journey to the Center of the Earth with James Mason, probably my favorite film of all time. I loved it, and it also seemed very possible. I grew up in a haunted house, I dug up artifacts. Well, those artifacts were on top of other artifacts from earlier, on top of other artifacts from even earlier. So our Earth is nothing more than a repository for layers and layers of knowledge, and knowledge that we call lost knowledge. So I was intrigued. I had to know more. What was so odd was, and what really set off my curiosity, I guess I'm a little bit of a Kolchak the Night Stalker refugee, but I read that this mission that was saving money to go to Hollow Earth, the leader actually mysteriously died of brain cancer. And I thought, wow, they were just about to voyage, were they just collecting money and then oh, sorry, he died. But I went further and further because as a researcher, I'm like Kolchak. I need to know everything. Yeah. I got my little camera and my seersucker suit and my convertible. I'm ready to go chase it. But when I researched it more, I realized, they had an authentically really good idea for that. And some of the people involved in it wanted to continue it even after he was gone. It was just incidental that he happened to die. But it put the voyage off. So I thought, isn't anyone else looking for this? And as I started to research, there's been legends of this way, way back in time of a place called Agartha. At least that's what it's usually referred to. I think the Tibetans call it Shambhala.
Yeah.
And each culture has their own name for this inner world. And it amazed me that through no matter how many generations back, this theme, like the flood theme, kept coming back and back. And I thought there has to be something to this. There was a really good book, and you can find it online for free. It's called The Smoky God. And The Smoky God is written about a man named Olaf Jansen in the 1800s. He was a fisherman in Norway, and his dad and they set sail on their boat to go fishing like usual. They headed north. And as they got into the northern seas, they passed, I think it was Yosef Franz Island. It's a Russian island. It's had never had any inhabitants, and yet it has these giant stone spheres all over the place.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Kind of an interesting, I keep running into those spheres.
So just like big stone spheres?
Yeah, just like the ones you find in Colombia and other parts of the world.
Okay.
Just, 4 feet across, perfectly round. They say that they're caused by water, but they've been found way in the jungles. It doesn't make any sense.
And they're perfect too, So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got to wonder, was this island truly never inhabited? But as they came out of there, they took a turn and they went northern. They went toward the North Pole, basically. And at one point, they ran into a warmer climate, warmer waters, and a lot of storms. They ended up in a place that was very green. And they described these 10 to 12 foot benevolent looking beings that approached them. And they took them in. They showed them their ways. They showed them their culture. They asked if they wanted to leave. They said they wanted to stay a little longer and know some more. It was basically described as sort of a utopian paradise. And it was governed by, they called the Smoky God, because the light came from a source they didn't understand what that source was, but it created a lot of mists and a lot of fogginess. And the people had such a beautiful way of being. They lived to be 600 to 800 years old. And by the time he and his father had escaped and gone back to Norway, they never spoke of it again. This man, Olaf, apparently settled himself in California, where he told a neighbor friend about the story, and that man is who wrote the Smoky God book.
Okay.
It was so detailed, and what struck me was, usually what I look for is repeatability as a researcher. Do people who are in disparate, different time periods, different locations, they're describing the same thing? Admiral Byrd, when he went to the North Pole, described having gone into an area that looked very green, was very mild, but then his plane was taken over, apparently, according to his diaries, was taken over by some more intelligent group that brought him into Hollow Earth, and he encountered the same sort of beings, tall, intelligent, utopian. We don't really know. No one's verified his diaries, but as a researcher, I keep finding the same themes from people who never would have read the other cultures' writings about it, that had nothing to do with them. And yet they're describing the same thing. I like the concept. I like the concept that people, for some reason, enter a world that's, we call it Hollow Earth, but I kind of have my own theory that what they're really entering is an interdimensional portal. And it does feel as if you are inside of the Earth, because you have no point of reference but Earth.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. Really quick, I wanted to, about the Shambhala. So I have this little writing right here. I wanted to get into it because you brought that up. Apparently, Admiral Byrd, all that stuff. And if I'm correct, he was sent over there on a mission to go look for Nazis, if I'm correct. But, with that being said, I wanted to read this. Some guy named Carl Haushofer, I think that's how you say his name, claimed that Thule was actually called Atlantis and contrary all other researchers of Tibet and India, he said that the surviving Thule, the Atlanteans, were separated into two groups, a good one and an evil one. Those who call themselves after their oracle Agartha were the good and settled in the Himalayan region. The evil ones were the Shambhala, who wanted to subjugate humanity, and they went west. He maintained that the fight between the people of Agartha and Shambhala had been going on for thousands of years, and that in the third right of the Thule, Jelasoph, as Agartha's representative, continued to fight against the representatives of Shambhala, the Freemasons, and the Zionists. This perhaps was his mission, and apparently Shambhala is in the inner earth, according to the Tibetan Buddhism, or the Buddhists. They say that Shambhala is in the inner earth. So this guy is describing, this explorer, is basically saying that there was a war between the people on the surface and the people in Shambhala, which is the inner earth. And it even goes on to say here they had their own sun. Maybe that's that smoky light source you were talking about. So there's a lot of interesting things there. And apparently Hitler got his swastika symbol from his journeys of trying to find all these ancient artifacts and going in and out of the hollow earth. And that's apparently where he got his swastika symbol, because a lot of people don't know this, that Hitler did not invent the swastika. I mean, they have that symbol on all the India, in the East, all those artifacts. So
yes, I think India and Tibet both had a swastika symbol. And the fact that they used that was really kind of intriguing to me. Of all the ancient symbols, why this one? And I think they did seek out and want to find inner earth. I feel like from the descriptions, only very worthy people get access to this region. But I have reason to believe that today there are civilizations living underground, and they were driven underground. And it was basically, I think, in a battle of Homo sapiens being outnumbering these others and taking over. And so where else do you go but you retreat? And they've adapted, and they lived quite well. And they still do live quite well in this hollow earth, wherever hollow earth is, whether it's literally under the crust or just above the crust or another dimension.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, last episode we're talking about giants, and lo and behold, what do these people look like? They're giants. I mean, everything goes back to giants for some reason. And it's true though, like everything, whether it's the Bible, any religion or any culture, any creed, when you go back to the beginning of it, they always have this story of these giant people. And then you have these giant people in the inner earth. And, how long ago was Admiral Byrd doing this? In the 40s? 1940s?
The 20s.
The 20s.
Yeah,
so
26. Yeah.
So this is recent, pretty much. Not recent, but it's recent enough to believe that there are still giants walking around in the earth or outside of the earth, whatever you want to call it. And then you can even go into these references like when we're talking about the Dalai Lama talking about Shambhala, was a world that is in the center of the earth. And then you even have the biblical stories where Jesus, when he died, he said he went down into the earth to go tell all the demons that, hey, I'm the boss now. So you have all these different stories. And then even in the Bible, God, he talks to Satan. I forgot what Satan, where are you? Or something like that. And Satan says, I've been walking in and out of the earth, looking at my estate, talking about in the earth and outside the earth. So you have all these different references, even, from the Bible to these men to, talking about an inner earth. So,
I mean, if you use a biblical reference, they actually say there were giants in the earth in those times. They don't say on the earth.
Oh, yeah. That's true,
I think that's a really critical thing that we don't pay attention to, and we really should hone in on those references.
Yeah.
When I deal with Bigfoot research, that's what took me into ancient giant research. I was looking for anything that was similar upon the earth. And of course, I went all the way back to biblical times and ancient megalithic sites. But, when I was looking at all of this, I think one of the big things that stuck out in my mind was that for some reason, they needed to hide. They needed to retreat. And retreating into the earth made a lot of sense, especially with a lot of accounts of people running into these beings in cavern systems.
Yeah.
It would make a lot of sense that they, where else can you go? Let's say we were going to have a meteorite hit our Earth that was giant. We'd all retreat to under Earth. So it has some validity to that.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that, that science likes to use for their examples, to like, this ancient scientist, this scientist from the past, said this, said that. And, like Haley's comet, we named a comet after Haley, after Edmund Haley. That was his name. And he has some writings here in this book that I'm reading out from, talking about how he had a theory. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just get to the point of it, that he had a theory that the aurora borealis was a product of possibly gases from the hollow earth leaking up into the atmosphere. And, Admiral Byrd, the opening was in the North Pole, right? And then aurora borealis is in the northern area. So
it is. And then we have the aurora australis that's in the southern hemisphere. And we also have similar reports at the South Pole that both the North Pole and South Pole, you're not allowed to fly over. And any imagery we've gotten has shown strange voids.
Yeah, that's another thing too that blows my mind. All these countries in the world, we're all at each other's neck, right? We all want to take over one way or another, whether we want to admit it or not, these people that run these countries. But the only treaty that we have that everybody agrees on is that all the nations have a little spot in the Antarctica, right? And they all work together. I think that's very funny how they all could only work together there, because there's obviously something there that is that they all benefit off of. They're all getting a piece of something and they're all equally happy with it. That's the best thing I could possibly imagine. Whatever is down there, they're all getting a pretty big pie of it. So they're not really fighting over each other, I guess. Or maybe they are. We don't know. We can't go down there.
The Nazis obviously had a strong interest in it. When you look at it, the Russians, when they drilled down and they found a live lake down there, miles down through the ice, it had never seen the air. It had never seen light, and yet there was life there. It says a lot about getting closer to Eden, or closer to our origins, or back in time, almost like time travel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of knowledge to be gained there.
So when you say all that, how you say it could be a portal or, some kind of time travel, kind of time warp, I don't like to use a lot of movies for references, but believe it or not, a lot of movies do show a lot that this is right in front of us. I forgot what King Kong movie it was, but there's a part where King Kong, my memory leaves me, but it's one of the newer ones, but King Kong has to go into the hollow earth to go do something. And when he's falling into this big hole, into the hollow earth, there's like this big, Stargate that once he hits that Stargate, he just, boom, he goes into like this time warp, and then boom, he's in the hollow earth, and you look up and it looks like, if it looks anything like this, the way whoever did the CGI, it's kind of crazy and beautiful at the same time. You have this massive ceiling in the movie, and it's, rock, and it's like you're looking at the floor on the ceiling. There's trees and everything growing, on the ceiling. And then you have this big, like purple light, like the portal that you have to get into to go back up there or whatever. And then when he gets to the, into the hollow earth or the dimension, whatever it is, there's all the dinosaurs that are extinct, all the animals that are extinct are all living in this vegetated area, and it's very beautiful. All the vegetation's there. All the vegetation is even gigantic. Like everything's bigger. And, and there's a lot of things that also in history that talk about everything was bigger at one point. You have the megafauna. They have those armadillos that are petrified. They're the size of Volkswagen Beetles. So, it's not too hard to believe that there's all these giant creatures in the center of the earth, and it could be that way, and they're living longer because of the way the atmosphere is. It might have, higher oxygen levels in there. That's making all the trees grow. Mm-hmm. And, the trees got to grow big because the animals are big. They all got to eat bigger things, just like, the giant entities there. They all got to be, if they're bigger, the vegetation has to be bigger. That's just my opinion on it, or my theory on it. What do you think?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. You look at how the Earth was when dinosaurs were here, and if there had been an intelligence here, it would have been a human, but the human would have to have been lizard-like.
Yeah.
And yet today we still have stray reports from people who really don't get into this stuff, who went cave exploring and ran into lizard people.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I wanted to know more about that lizard people. I want to know about as much as you can talk to me about it, because every time I read about the Hollow Earth, no matter what book it is, there's always some kind of lizard humanoid being that lives in the caves. And all these caves lead to the Hollow Earth, apparently. And these caverns are all over the world. Yep. And I don't know if you heard this, but whenever you're going into a cave and there's lizard people there's like a certain smell, like a rotten egg kind of smell. So, yeah.
Here in the Phoenix area at the Superstition Mountains, for a long time, people have said that's an entrance to Hollow Earth. Ironically, someone who had absolutely no connection to anything paranormal, he and his friend decided to go hiking around the Superstition Mountains, and they fell through a hole into a cavern where his friend was literally attacked and killed by a lizard person. The account is so real, and the smell he described was so vivid. And, it's not infeasible. People that have run into them in caverns have said they have the ability to just literally walk through a wall, that they ride around on sort of a hovering motorcycle kind of thing that's got 3 wheels. It's the details are strangely accurate for people who are very distant, very different time periods, different locations, and that theme just keeps running through and through and through everything. So you have to wonder. I mean, it would have been ideal had if intelligence grew into mammals in our time, it could have done that in a time where the world was ruled by reptoids, and it would have been lizard people. And if they were intelligent, when catastrophic things were occurring and everything was dying off, they could have just gone underground, and it wouldn't have meant anything to them, because the deeper you go underground, the hotter it is and the wetter it is. Well, what was it like when the dinosaurs were here? They're like ideal for that situation.
I was trying to research this really, really quick, but I forgot the name. There was a certain name for this sighting back in the mid 1900s. If I talk about it, you're probably gonna a bunch of people saw like a UFO land, and the aliens looked like they were in a metal hovering suit, and it just hovered, and it was all metal, and they had these big red glowing eyes, and they're a reptilian. Yeah. What was it called? They called it something, the Marshman or the Swamp Man monster or something like that.
Was that the one that was seen in Africa by all the school children? Or
no,
there's been some very similar ones with these hovering,
metal hovering. But anyways, that you said they saw them with the metal, hover motorcycles. Like you said, everyone can't be describing the same thing. And I'm pretty sure this guy did not know about the story that I'm trying to look for. I mean, these little, like you said, he wasn't even into or involved in this kind of research.
Oh, precisely. Yeah. There were some girls, I think back in, I want to say the 60s. They were in college in Utah, but they went to Nevada to have a girls' weekend, and they had to get back to campus in Utah so that they could do testing. And they were driving down the road, and they took a turn down this one road. I think it was probably the wrong road to take, but and they give great detail of where that was, but they went through something and everything changed, and they were confused where they were. So they pulled over to this cafe along the roadside, but outside there were all these lizard people getting ready to get on their motorcycles. And they described they had I think 2 wheels in the front, 1 wheel in the back. Kind of weird for that time period.
What?
The girls were terrified. They drove off. They went off the road. They crashed. I think they walked back to get help. When the police came, there were no tracks where their car had driven off the road. It was like their car had floated and landed. So they couldn't explain that experience. But coming up with such an outrageous story in the mid-century, that was really, I mean, they if they were making it up, they were knocking it out of the park.
Yes, I was going to say that's a very strange story. I just can't imagine I'm outside, hitting the baseball with my friend, and I just see a bunch of lizard people on some motorcycles. That would tear. It's funny, but it's not funny. You know what I mean? It's like
my thought as a researcher is cell phone, take pictures.
Yeah, it's like what the heck? And then you probably wouldn't show up on the camera because it's all kinds of technology they have. But
I know people would say you hoaxed it.
Exactly.
So you can't win. You can never prove anything. People have to experience things. I think the best we can do at this point is either to find science that supports it, and that's kind of how with the Bigfoot I ran into the ancient giants. I just wanted to prove they had a lineage.
Yeah.
And the only other big skeletons, coincidentally, were in the areas Bigfoot was found.
Yeah, yeah. And going even further into this reptilian stuff, I mean, there's all kinds of stories that come from, or this star constellation, this planet, that, all this and that. But let's worry about what's going on here. Okay, so I like to tell people that if you can't get over there, then don't worry about that. Let's worry about the ones that are right here on Earth. Because
I know I run into so many people that go, what are dog men? What are lizard men? And I mean, my only explanation, my conclusion, basically, doesn't have to be yours. If someone or something decided to procreate life that was intelligent on Earth, they would use DNA that's adapted for Earth. So they would look at the creatures, they would take them, they would mix them with their own intelligent DNA. And then once they created these lizard men, these dog men, these chimpanzee men, whatever, they would let them take over and let them vie around on the Earth for dominance until one of them succeeded to populate. The others would have to go into hiding. They're outnumbered.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works, survival of the fittest. And I mean, the way they're described, they're obviously way more intelligent than us in many ways that we know. Maybe we're smarter than them in other ways that they don't know. But I don't know why, like, people always ask me, if they're so intelligent, they're so powerful, how come they haven't taken over Earth yet? How come they're not just out, killing us and doing this and that? And the answer is, I don't know. But what I can say is that if there's I'm pretty sure there is some kind of underground, portal or some kind of world underground. I believe that 100% for a fact, because one thing about me that blows my mind is that all the most powerful and richest people in the world, right now, there's a big trend going on. They are all doing what? They're building underground bunkers. Okay. Underground bunkers. I don't see them.
There's facilities we have no clue exist, but they're getting ready.
Yeah. So they're getting ready. So this is one thing that blows my mind. This is just my opinion. Okay. This is just my opinion and my theory on this. All these high level military people, whatever you want to call them, military people, celebrities, inventors of water, whatever you want to call it, they're high level people. They're building these massive underground bunkers, right? In the ground, in the mountains, most of them underground. Now, my thing is, I tell people, well, if we have so much technology, I mean, okay, first of all, if they're obviously scared, something's coming, right? They want to survive something, right? But if they have so much power and so much technology, how come they don't start building this stuff on Mars or on whatever, all these other planets, right? Because I don't think they have the technology to build that there. They are going to build it right here on Earth because they have nowhere else to go. That's just my opinion on it.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I think there's people like Musk and Bigelow who have concerned themselves with the idea of going off planet. I think that's a way to kill a population. There's absolutely zero viability for us to be there. But let's jump ourselves 100,000 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, just think what we did in the last 1,000. So 100,000 years from now, we realize, oh crap, we can't live here anymore. We've got to go someplace that seems inhospitable. So what we have to do is we're going to have to genetically adapt a people that still possess our intelligence and our core, but have the adaptations for that planet. Suppose that planet's carbon dioxide based. We would die instantly.
Yeah.
But I think this is something that might have lived out through a lot of alien cultures desperately running to other planets looking to survive. and utilizing what they can of DNA on that planet, trying to, terraform that planet so that it could give life. And that could take a very long time. But when you're a really brilliant culture, that's an inevitable.
Yeah.
Your son will die in 80,000 years. We need to get this done. Terraform another planet.
Yeah.
Earth could have been one of those terraformed planets.
And speaking of terraforming, what do you think about everything that's happening on Earth? And the way I'm looking at everything, the food, the air, the water, everything that we consume, whether that's the sunlight, even that's being manipulated, the weather, everything. It's almost like they are terraforming Earth for a whole nother species, or getting us ready to transition into something, because all the food that we have now that's genetically modified is not good for us. And none of it's good for us. It's good enough to keep you alive for, 30, 40 years or whatever, but it's just causing problems. Every little strawberry, apple, piece of meat that you eat, even though you have a healthy meal, so you have, some chicken breast, you have some rice, and you have some vegetables. Those vegetables have, pesticides in them. The chicken has steroids in it, and on it goes. So it's almost like nothing on Earth is even edible. That has nothing on Earth is no longer like pure.
We're not getting nutrient, we're getting pollution.
It's like it's for someone else.
We're adapting ourselves for a world that's either overpopulated or is going to evolve in a different way. And it makes you wonder about people like Gates, who wants to, make synthetic foods for us to eat. And then you start looking at alien grays and you go, these people don't have teeth. They have a very small mouth. They're very fragile looking. Their brains are large. What is their nutrition basis, and are they our descendants?
Yeah, and he's also buying all the land. He's buying all the vegetation.
Yeah, that should never be allowed. And I know from being in the oil and gas industry for years, China has been trying to buy every steel manufacturing, every oil lease they can get, every piece of equipment. They just want to own. They want to own all of our energy, and that's a terrifying thing. We shouldn't be letting these entities come in and they purchase it under the umbrella of an American company.
Yeah.
So these are look, they're not even arresting shoplifters these days. So I give up. I give
kidding.
up. Yeah.
So speaking of that, what do you think about that guy? I think he's a reptile himself, Bill Gates.
There is something very sinister about him. And I think this happens when anyone has too much power. Look at Soros. Look at the Biden family. Like any of them, when you have that much power, you can enable anything you want. I guess my big question I live with daily is, where is all of this coming from? Was there an alien source that said, we're going to take over Earth, let's get it ready, let's make the people sheep-like, not wanting to fight, let's make the men effeminate so they won't fight, let's make everyone just accept chaos and craziness, let's get them drug addicted, whatever we have to do so you can be the overlords. Is that what's happening? Is that there's something that goes beyond religion, money, and power? What is this thing that's driving this new world order? And that does bother me. And I'm not one of those conspiracy. I'm not into chemtrails or any of that bullshit. Yeah. But that is one thing that does bother me. There's obviously, are we all lemmings and we just succumb to the popular belief system? Or is there something actually steering us toward being taken over?
Well, there's definitely an evil entity at the top of this that's controlling all this, because there's always levels, just like in the military. You got your privates, you got your sergeants, you got your chiefs. So whoever these elitists, whatever you want to, the Bidens, all these people, and all over the world too. Whatever they're doing it to serve somebody, because they're all doing the same thing around the world, right? And like you said,
they're very committed to things that are incredibly illogical.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of us generally look at it, and the only point of reference we have is we're getting ready for socialism or communism. Yeah. And that makes sense. It's a insidious way of getting in, a backdoor way to take over a country. But I feel as if everyone around the earth is being influenced by the same force.
Yeah, exactly.
And do we really have maybe an alien? It doesn't even have to be other planet. It could be another parallel world, or even something angelic in a strangely deceptive way.
Yeah.
That's taking over, and they have no choice but to try to guide the sheep to the slaughter.
And a lot of people that want to, rebuttal against this, whether they want, like, a lot of people just don't believe in anything. They don't believe in anything. They don't even believe they were born. I mean, they don't believe in angels. They don't believe in ghosts. They don't believe in nothing. But I want to tell those people, with everything that you're seeing, these people that we're just talking about, Bill Gates, all these elitists, all these people, when you look into them, and it doesn't take that long to do this, when you just do a little bit of research about them, look at where they hang out at, look where they celebrate, look at all the clothes they wear, the inside of their house, they all go to the same church. This is just metaphorically. They all go to the same church. They all have the same symbols in their house, all the places they live, their ceremonies. It's not the God of the Bible they're worshiping. It's not the Muhammad. It's some kind of Freemason, always some kind of Freemason symbol, always some kind of occultic type of symbolism. And whether you believe in biblical stuff or not, it's all like it's all like the pattern of Luciferianism and Satanism. It's all like in that kind of conglomerate. So
I think Scientology comes to mind, but it's a police state of spirituality. Yeah. And I guess I'm kind of weird in that I have an incredible relationship with what I would say is the Lord and with Christ. Yeah. But that's because I communicate easily with them. I identify with them. Yeah. And everyone identifies with a different version of the divine.
Amen.
But these people, they're singing to something that is ego born.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the reason I divert myself, I grew up in a very religious family. I divert myself completely from religious practice because I see it in my own way as a prostitution of spirituality. Christ said, look, you don't have to pay a rabbi. Even a poor guy can talk to God. Well, what a novel idea. Do you think Christ would be real happy? We have churches in his name and do things using his name as an excuse. It's like he's a character reference.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I'm not your character reference. Don't say I'm a Christian and then do something else. So, I've stepped away from religion, but I'm highly spiritual. Amen. And I've never had a better relationship with it.
Yeah. Look at my shirt. It says, "Not today, Satan."
You know it.
Yeah. So, I wanted to get into that, finish what I was saying. These people all have the same symbolism. They're all going to the same ceremonies. So my point was, to those people who don't believe in a higher power, whether you believe it or not, these people up at the top believe it, and they are worshiping this entity. So whether you want to believe it or not, they are still doing it, and they are still pushing this onto us. You get what I'm saying? I mean, look at,
Muslim extremists or the Crusades. A lot of things, evil things are done in the name of religion.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean, it just means you're a lemming. It just means you've been indoctrinated. And the cult size could be 80 million or it could be 8,000. But it's a cult because no individual thought is allowed. No individuals are allowed. We're being assimilated. And they're trying really hard to assimilate us in every way they can. They throw new stuff at us all the time, and we're supposed to just accept it. It's a scary trend that I see. And I understand now why people want to go to the hills and homestead, because I honestly would love to just leave the city, leave it all, just go somewhere where I'm offline and I can be a real human being again. Because the online, I mean, I hate to say it, it's been a blessing for many, but it's also very addictive, and people believe everything they see online.
It's also very toxic too if you get into the wrong,
TikTok,
conversation, TikTok, Facebook.
I've never even gone on I refuse to support that.
It's a bunch of crap. Same thing as Instagram, just more of it.
Yeah.
But, and then another thing you said, you're talking about how these churches are just full of, nonsense. Jesus, if I'm correct, Jesus literally got upset and physically started flipping tables over and started calling people dogs, and morons, started hitting them with whips. So, I mean, these people preach, you know, out of the book, and the same book, he's telling you not to do that, but yet they do the opposite. I kind of noticed like churches now, it's almost like a motivational speaker. They kind of get you all riled up to get you in for next week's second part of the motivational speech to get you to, you know, if you give this much money, you're going to get 1,000 back. You know, I'm serious. Like they literally say, you know, if you give 10%, you're going to get, you know, 50 times fold. And these people are.
Let's look at Joel Osteen, you know, Mr. Megachurch himself, POS.
Yeah.
This dude, he is the most vile, evil human being ever.
What happened? Something happened recently.
Taking advantage. He's taking advantage of people. And the way he's doing it is a really good salesman. He sells God as being, oh, he loves you. Doesn't matter what you did. There's nothing negative, no outcome, no punishment involved. Of course, you're going to keep coming back. I want to go listen to the God that thinks I'm awesome. I'm not going to go to the one that's going to slap my behind. I mean, come on. Yeah.
It's
brilliant. I mean, in a marketing sense, the guy's freaking brilliant. As a human being, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I agree with you. And something happened recently within a month where he's in big trouble. I forgot what I saw him on the news article. I think something happened where he got caught doing something, but he's not in good water right now.
No kidding. So, power and money. Yeah.
That guy is truly, I don't even like looking at his face, but he kind of looks like he's related to the guy, the president of Canada. The president of Canada, Joel Osteen. Trudeau, yeah. Joel Osteen, and this guy that runs California. What's his name?
Like little creepy molesters. I know. Yeah.
What's the guy from California? Newsom. All those three guys are like the same person.
Oh yes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they all look alike, talk alike.
There was a serial killer that looked like that too. Remember the beautiful serial killer? What was his name? The guy from Florida.
Florida, of all
young,
places.
handsome guy. Yeah. They all had the same look.
Yeah, and then there's also like even, you know, going off subject just really quick, if you start like looking into like I forgot what the science is called, but you could kind of see how someone's faces and tell if they have that genetic, if they're, you know, perverts or murderers. They all have that same look. It's like this look in the eyes. It's really weird. Yeah. Once you start looking at it, you're like, oh, you can't tell. But once you start looking, studying it, it's like, this person is weird. I know it. And then, you know, a year later, oh, you know, here's so-and-so's in jail for doing this. I'm like, I told you. Yeah. I told you.
Yeah. Yeah. The soulless eyes.
Yeah. There's like an empty shell.
You know, nowadays they have programming that can actually handle looking at your face and telling if you're lying, depending on how your eyes move and stuff. I always think, oh, I'm going to fail that test because as a psychic, I'm also synesthetic for space and time. So if you ask me about my grandfather, my eyes go to a certain place where grandfather's held. All my knowledge is outside of me in a three-dimensional realm. So my eyes move to gather info. It makes me quick to gather info, but it makes me look shifty. Yeah. So there's no science there. Yeah.
But you can't really take these people serious, man, with the little machines. That's just, you know.
Yeah.
A cycle. No,
I actually, when I was in retail, I had to every 3 months because my boss was very weird.
Oh, let me guess.
He would make us do lie detector tests every 3 months.
See for stealing?
And I actually failed one telling the freaking truth.
Did he fire you?
There was no lie involved.
Did he fire you?
Yeah, and no, he kept me because I was a big seller. But you know, I kept going back, going, look, dude, I'll do it again. I don't know how else to answer this. This is the absolute freaking truth. Yeah. But you know, it made me realize, yeah, it's not always perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother subject I can get into, but let's go scoot back a little bit into the Hollow Earth.
Hollow Earth, yes.
No, so there's something I wanted to ask you. I want to get your opinion on it. What do you think of all these relations to the religion? So you have Sheol, you know, and I think it's the Jewish name is Sheol. Then you have Tartarus. I think that's the Greek. And then you have, you know, Hell, which is the, you know, American word for in the earth. And then you have, you know, the Norse one. I forgot the name. I can't pronounce it. But anyways, you have all these different, you know, in the earth punishment places. And it's all described as, you know, hell. It's just awful, right? It's just people being tortured and fire and brimstone. But the people that actually supposedly seen the hollow earth, it looks nothing like that. So in your opinion, do you think when all these different all these different civilizations over, different periods stretched over time, they all describe the same thing similar to what the Bible says. But yet the people that have recently have been there see a lavish, almost like an Eden, Garden of Eden type of place, beautiful place. So again, do you think this is a separate place in the earth or another dimension, hell itself? Or do you think the hollow earth that they're seeing is hell, but it hasn't turned into hell yet?
Well, I think that it all began very early, and there's a dichotomy there. There's the people from long ago that would bury their dead in the earth. And that brought this terrifying thought of being smothered in the dark. At one point, we had little bells that were with the coffins. So if the person in the coffin was alive, they could ring the bell. Yeah. We were terrified of the darkness of death. And so that to us was torture. And the thought of heaven would be up here in the clouds and the sky and the sun and the light. I think that was a construct of humanity. And then there became a reality that heaven, we can't place heaven. Heaven is everywhere, everything, and every time. It has no location like we do. We're three-dimensional. Of course, we have a location. It's an energy. The energy is throughout the universe. So there is no actual heaven location. And if you believe in the concepts of hell, once again, you'd have a place that has absolutely no location. It would just have a negative energy or a low frequency compared to the high frequency of the heaven realm. So I think any constructs we have that are biblical or related to mankind involve the fear of being buried in the earth and then the thought of rising up to the sky. That would be enlightenment. That would be freedom. That would be leaving the body. Being in the earth would be rotting, staying in the earth. So yeah, we have two different things going on here. We have the ones that we run into, which are people that might have found that underneath earth thing and realized, oh, there's not an actual physical location for hell.
Yeah.
It's an energy. It's a bad energy.
Yeah. There's also some interesting verses that I always blew my mind that I put together over years. So, I forgot, I think it's in the book of Isaiah. God's talking and saying that he sits above the circle of the earth, above the star, I think he's talking about the North Star, right? So it talks about that. And then in another verse, one of the prophets I think it's in Revelations, is describing heaven. He's in heaven. He's seeing the throne, the angels. And he's saying, God's throne is surrounded by this beautiful emerald glow, like this green glow, like very beautiful, right? So you have there's two things from the Bible, one from Isaiah, one from Revelation, I think. If I'm wrong, I'll look it up and show everybody. But I know this says this. So you have this one description where he's sitting above the North Star, looking at the circle of the earth. So I'm assuming he's looking at the very top of the earth, right? And then the description says his throne. So it's saying his throne is on the top of the star. And then the throne that the prophet saw is all glowing this green, beautiful glow. And then when the further north you go, what do you see in the sky? You see this beautiful green glow. Now, I'm not saying God's right there, but I just think it's very interesting how all that connects. And during this time, I don't think anybody knew about what the Aurora Borealis or knew about any of this around this time. At least they weren't connecting it all together around this time. What do you think about that? Yeah.
I mean, all we can perceive is what we know as three-dimensional beings that see ourselves as solid, see that there's such a thing as time and distance. So our only point of reference is the universe as we see it from where we are. But we have very limited vision. I mean, even compared to animals on Earth, we have bad vision, bad hearing. All of our senses stink. But one thing that I do notice is that, I'm a big advocate of the near-death experience, but they all pretty much say the same thing. When they're there, if they think of a place, they're immediately there at the minute they think of it. There's no travel. It's not here and there. Everything is tied together. It's all right there. And it reminds me of a saying that you are God and God is you. everything is all tied together. We have a feeling of separateness here, but it isn't separate. And that's what we learn as we move on. We all interpret heaven with a different vision.
Yeah.
And I look at Earth and I think we have sort of a manufactured AI version of heaven here. We have all the things that heaven has. We're missing the life that heaven has. It's a whole different depth. When you look at trees and plants, rocks, mountains, they all have life.
Yeah.
That's not something we see here, but in order for souls to be comfortable here, we have something familiar. We have a facsimile. You know, it's sort of like putting an animal in a cage in a zoo and then putting the plants they're used to being around. That is the real life. This is the stage. And I think we get so caught up in thinking this is all there is that we get very desperate and clawing. We make a lot of bad decisions.
Yeah.
It all becomes very clear when we move on that, oh, wow, we were very brave to decide to do that human thing.
Yeah.
It's very humbling. And I think God wants us to be humbled by that. How would you understand life if you've never had it? If you're eternal, how would you ever care about it?
Yeah.
How would you ever understand the plight of humanity? You have to go do it. You have to be an astronaut on Earth.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You can't, yeah, you're absolutely right. Everything you said. And even going back to the whole, how you're talking about how heaven is and hell is, that was something that I always, as a kid, as a kid, I went to Christian school for like 5 years, like first grade to fifth grade or something like that. And a lot of the people there, no offense to them, bless their heart, they're very nice people. But when I ask them questions about what's heaven like, what's a demon, what's a giant? Oh, that's just a metaphor. It's just this, just that. So then I had this whole idea that heaven is just, you're just a little light flying around. You have no arms, no legs, and you're just floating around and you're on clouds and there's just random clouds and people, there's only the angels have wings and they're shooting little arrows at you. That's literally the description I had as a kid. But as I get,
no, I get you. The Methodist Church, the way we were taught about it, that it's eternal.
Yeah.
I used to cry and want to not go to church because the idea of eternity and there's no end.
Oh my God.
Terrified.
I had the same
I thought, I'd rather go to hell than go to eternity. What do you do?
Thing.
How many times can you play card games and board games? It has to have an end. Everything has an end.
You read my mind. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want you to think I was crazy. But as a child, I remember waking up in the middle of the night and I was sleeping in my mom and dad's bed with them because I was scared of the dark. And I was crying, because I was thinking that I was like, forever, I'm going to live forever. Like, what are we going to do forever? Like, ever and ever and ever. Like, that terrified me. I was like,
it's a frame of reference none of us could ever understand. I mean,
like,
we're used to mortality. I mean, the lights go out, the show's over. What the heck? It runs eternally?
That's scary.
I'm going to run out of content.
Yeah, exactly. And even going further into that, heaven, the way I'm reading it now from the Bible and other sources that you just, near-death experiences, all these different sources that you're getting, and from what the Bible says and what people experience, heaven, hell, whatever they're going to, heaven is apparently what I'm hearing from what the people have experienced and what the book says of the people that experience it or seen it. It is more physical and more real than here. There's literally houses and massive, beautiful buildings. I mean, the description of the roads, it's made of gold and bricks and there's trees and you're even eating in heaven. You're eating. So it starts to make you think like, why do we need to eat if we're, we're living forever? Like, so I start getting more like, why do we need to eat? Or do you have to use the restroom? Like, so it's eating for pleasure. You just start to think about all these things like, wow. So it's more physical. It's more real to be in heaven. And even further so, when I read the Bible.
Yeah, you also don't have the reference of time. There is no time.
And it also says in the Bible that everything you see on earth is pretty much a crappy replica of what's in heaven.
Yes.
So you start to think about Satan.
We're in the monkey cage. Yeah. We're in the monkey cage. They recreated the jungle, but it's not quite
good.
Right.
Yeah. It's like a crappy version of I made Disneyland cardboard boxes in my house. So you start to think about, let's just think about the most beautiful technology that we could possibly imagine in its prime. So you think about the pyramids, what did it look like in its prime? You think about Machu Picchu, whatever, those big places and all that stuff in the mountains. how beautiful, like you don't even know how they got the bricks there. Okay. That's how beautiful it was, before it ended. So you think about that. Whoever had, if even humans even built it or helped, built entities, how built it, whatever. These things, we did not do this on our own. Something taught us from an outside source. And that outside source, where did they see this before? I'm assuming they saw it in heaven and they try to replicate it on earth. So if it's beautiful on earth in its prime, you can't even imagine what the real thing looks like.
Yeah. And I think, if we want to get back, I'm not even going to say religious, but in texts that refer to mankind's place in the universe and time and in relation to God, we have something called the Nephilim. And the Nephilim, what they did wrong was instructing us on technology, basically. Yeah. And we took it and we ran and we went into very bad places. We were not ready for technology. So I think some of these structures we see, it would make sense if something partially angelic was replicating heaven here to show us how it's done. If you look at the Garden of Eden, we were supposed to be sort of like loving animals until we ate from the tree. And once we had the knowledge, we couldn't go back. We realized, oh, crud, we're intelligent and we're different than the animals. Now we dominate the animals,
Yeah, and, even further so with, they pretty much manipulated everything. To me, it's the story of the rebellion. They wanted to be their own gods. They wanted to create their own beings. They wanted their own beings, but yet they weren't creating anything on their own. They were just using what was already here, created by God, and making an abomination that was still a creation of God. I mean, because these beings can't make something out of nothing like God can. Everything that they're doing is still a piece of what God has put here. Every piece of material was made by God. Does that make any sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're given certainly all the parts. We just had to, Lego it into a mansion or whatever. Yeah. I look at it this way, and I think that what happened was this early introduction to technology, whether it was mining or megalithic building or, making canals or any of that other stuff, it made mankind develop, narrowing their vision only to technology to make their life easier here instead of meaningful. And that's where I think if I were God, I would have obliterated the Nephilim for this, because we could have evolved naturally, highly intelligent, maybe not technology based. Maybe we were happy with growing new hybrids of a plant or, navigating the seas. And there's so many ways we could have gone other than technology. But being taught that too early is kind of like, I don't know, being abused as a child and then becoming a stripper.
Yeah.
We went the wrong way with it. Got it too early. We didn't understand it. And now we're abusing it. And so, I think if there's going to be an end of times again, we're getting very close and we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah. And I also think the people who are on, I'm just going to call them the elites, whatever these people are there at the top. It seems like to me, they're also doing things on purpose to speed up the process. Because
they know something.
Because if God's coming,
we don't know.
Because if they get God riled up to come back, they know their God's coming back too. Because you got,
originally one of my thoughts in the whole thing looking at it was, okay, let's say there's an alien race. Let's say in the 50s, they were talking, to Eisenhower, whatever, however you want to look at it. We had access with aliens. Now we're seeing the ships a little bit more than often. But what if these aliens have had communications with our leaders? What if our leaders know, hey, dudes, clock's ticking. We're going to be taking over. You've done a really crappy job. We think we have another breed that should live here, or whatever it is that they want. And what do you do as a leader? Your world's going to end. You're not going to tell your people, because what's going to happen?
It'll be chaos
and destruction. And then the aliens are going to come in and be really upset because we basically burned the house when we left. So leave us ignorant, but make us passive. Now humanity has a chance. They may be allowed to live.
Yeah. And if like you said, if they were to tell everybody what's really going on, people's heart will probably fail them. Some people will probably have a heart attack, but a lot of people would just probably quit going to work. You know, that's not going to work out for the elites or the aliens either, whatever you want to call them. And, you know, like I said, there is a higher power that's given the orders to these people that run the world as the Bible says, we're fighting against, evil forces and principalities, you know, not seen, you know, invisible forces pretty much. We're fighting again. It's a spiritual battle. That's what it is. It's a spiritual battle in the unseen
It's
realm.
Sodom and Gomorrah, if you think about it, because I mean, they're not making decisions that are heavenly.
No,
they're making evil decisions to control even your thoughts.
Yeah, you can't say anything.
It's crazy.
And it's almost like whatever the Bible says, they're doing the exact opposite. The Bible says this, we're going to do it this way. So it's literally, like you said, Sodom and Gomorrah, it's perverse reverse. Everything is being reversed and perverted, and they're making it, that's normal. And what me and you, our morals is the perverted, the weirdos.
And it's not even morals. It's just freaking logic.
It's like common sense too. A lot of common sense.
It's just logic and common sense. Yeah, I mean, it's the emperor's new clothes. We're supposed to go, oh, it's a beautiful outfit, even though we know he's naked. I mean, that's what they're asking us to do.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if we succumb to that, now we're vulnerable to whoever wants to take over, because we'll take anything. We'll accept anything.
We're already,
you know, we need torches and pitchforks at this time. Yeah.
I live in the Coachella Valley. And there's a little festival. It's not little, it's big.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
It's from all over the world, people. It's called the Coachella. It's called the Coachella. It's called Coachella. That's the name of the festival. I'm pretty sure you heard of it. Literally, it's like 2 weeks long, and it just ended last week. But the people that I saw that attend these things, and I don't care what anybody says, these people just don't, how do I say this without getting in trouble? These people are very different looking. The men or the boys, whatever you want to call them, they have, you know, makeup on, you know, they're walking like they have a stick up their butt. I mean, they're wearing dresses. The girls, you know, they're just wearing like thongs and fishnets, and they're wearing pants with no shirt, or they're just wearing little things that cover their nipples, and they just it just I'm looking at this, and none of, and I'm staring at them because I'm not like checking them out. I'm looking at him because I'm just like, it's like seeing a naked guy. You're not looking at him because you want it. He's like in the middle of like, what the heck is, like, it's just it's a sight to see.
And here's the difference. They're stoned or drunk. You're sober.
Yeah.
So be the sober guy at the party, and it's a freak show.
It's a freak show. Man, I just, you know, to this day, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how much it's on TV. When I see two males behaving like a male and a female, it really, I just can't look at it, man. It just makes my stomach hurt, and I don't want to look at it, and it's never going to be normal to me. Every TV show I watch is being remade, and they have that in it. All the cartoons I used to watch.
They're trying to push it so that it becomes common to see it, but it's actually very rare. Look, I'm a freaking redhead. Yeah. There's not many of us around unless they're dyeing their hair. I mean, if you start putting redheads in every commercial, it's going to look a little sketch.
Yeah,
Where the hell are you getting all these girls? They're only 1% to 2% of the population. So yeah, I get it. I'm okay that people can love. I am all about love. Love anyone you want. I don't care who you love. I just do not ever want to see a man want to become a woman or a woman want to become a man. I'm extremely offended. It's like putting on blackface. They're parroting females. They're trying to take over, and they're mimicking us in the most disrespectful ways. And they can't be us. And I don't care what fairyland their mind is in. They're still the sex they were born with. And that's that. Yeah, you can't fight nature.
And to even go further for this theory, the theory is that they say is that gender, your sexual organs do not. So if I'm one of those people, they'd be like, my sexual organs don't identify, you know, my gender. Then why do you cut it off or put something on? If it doesn't identify you, why are you cutting your penis off, or why are you putting boobs on? Like, if it does, you know, it doesn't make any sense. If that doesn't identify you, why are you changing your body? And then they also say, the ones that are Christian, they say, God made me this way. I say, God did not make you this way. He did not tell you to inject yourself with hormones. He did not send a doctor to cut you up or to add things onto you. That God didn't do that. You did that. You made a phone call.
These are doctor people appointment. That are obviously, it really needs to be, in the psychiatric manuals, there's something wrong. I mean, they don't like themselves, and they're not going to be happy even if they change all that. And I know so many people that have tried that, and they are not happy. That's a high
suicide rate too.
The answer is not in your genitalia or your gender. Yeah. The answer's in here.
And the suicide rate, people that mostly men that transition to women, their suicide rate is very high after they, cut themselves off. Yeah. I mean, duh, of course you're going to get depressed. I mean, as a man, and this, it sounds funny, but it's very true. Like, if I were to lose my stuff, I would feel very, very depressed and unmanly, and I would feel just not worth anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have friends that have had breast cancer, and they've run into the same thing. They feel like they lost something very identifiable about who they are. But genetically, they're always a female, whether they have breasts or not. That's not it. But you can't attach things or detach things and expect to be something else. That's in here.
Yeah.
It's not down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this whole gender, not even, they want no genders. I think this whole no gender thing. I'm serious. They want no genders.
Like, oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the new thing is now, because now when I just did my application to renew my health insurance, and they ask you, are you male, female?
Yes.
No gender, prefer not to answer. Now there's no gender. Now you're just nothing. You're just nothing.
Exactly. Yes.
And I want to even go even further.
Or I have the one when I did my health insurance, it said, I identify as a male, or I identify as a female.
Now, the best one is the last option. It says other. Explain yourself. And I'm a reptile, zebra.
I'm a centurion, and I'm both sexes. Damn it! Yeah,
it's really that's what it's really coming down to. And the people, the workers, the office workers have to take it serious. They have to take this person serious when they come in. Don't identify as nothing. Don't call me ma'am or sir or whatever. They really have to respect that. And it's a joke. And I want to go even further and even say that all this non-gender stuff is all conditioning, because if you look at what the fallen angels are, what the aliens are, most of them are genderless. They have no genitalia. And then even further, to me, it's preparing this new push of evolution, merging humans with technology, which would be more so, in my opinion, kind of like a mark of the beast kind of thing. I think the mark of the beast.
We're not identified with the ability to procreate. Yeah. I get that. I also see really concerning things, because I look at like the COVID situation. We had this engineered disease that basically what it was going to do is take out the overweight, the sickly, and the elderly, all the people that can't work, basically. It was going to just kill them off. Okay, they tried that. Next thing that they're going to try is they're going to try to feminize males so men have no fight reaction. There's no one that's going to stand up and militarily fight against an invasion. What they're left with, and then once they drug the people who tend to be, have issues with drugs, they're going to give them these drugs that will kill them. They're going to give them fentanyl. They're going to kill off all the druggies. So now what are they left with? The intelligent engineers and workers that are healthy that can do the work when they take over the country.
Yeah, that's
they figured it out.
No, I mean, it's happening,
and I think we know who they are.
Yeah, they're probably some grotesque monstrosity sitting on some throne somewhere in the Hollow Earth, giving out orders on. I'm serious.
No, somebody across the Pacific. That's all. That's all we need to know.
That guy's an alien too. And all this, if you step outside and you look at it from the outside, it's all stuff that's been happening since the beginning of time, over and over.
This play has gone on and on and on. Yeah. We're only starting to discover like older cultures than we thought we had. Yeah. And then there's ones, you go too far back, you're not going to find their remains.
Yeah. And the Romans.
Human beings aren't dinosaurs. You're not going to find giant bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Romans did this to the Greeks before they took them out. They started feminizing the men. They started putting porn out. another thing too, porn is another thing that destroys the minds of men and women.
Oh yeah, sodomy. Sodomy was a big killer of many. I mean, come on.
They're putting porn out. They're feminizing all the dudes in Greece. And, you know, at one time the Greeks were, I mean, powerful. I mean, Sparta, for God's sakes. I mean, you got Leonidas.
Oh,
you got
yeah.
all
Those men are big, tall, delicious. You know, how it's like a waste to feminize that. Yeah. But yeah, they did. They
feminized them, and the Romans took them out. And then, you know, these liberal scientists, I like to call them, they see it. If they're actually doing their work, it's not a conspiracy. There's so many civilizations where you can see this pattern, but for some reason they want to believe that it's not happening now. I don't know if it's some kind of mental block. They don't want to accept it.
No, it's because they're in a dysfunctional relationship. Humanity is a dysfunctional relationship. When you're in one of those, I'll tell you as a girl that's been in them before, you say, well, you know, there's days where it's good. Or this little area, this town I'm living in, it's kind of nice. That doesn't exist out there. I don't need to know about that. That only happens now and then. It flares up and then it gets happy again. You know, it's a dysfunctional relationship where you want to stay in it because you got no other options. Yeah. You're stuck on Earth.
Yeah, we are stuck on Earth, and that's why. And that's why I said I mentioned earlier my proof is. We're stuck on Earth because the people with all the money and all the technology, they're not flying off Earth to escape hell. They're building bunkers here underground. If they had all this technology, they'd be flying around. But no, they're going to be right here trying to escape literally hell on Earth. And even going further back to the hollow Earth, we're getting back into the end time revelation. The Bible says that the giants will come out from the earth and terrorize mankind. Not just giants, but these scorpion, locust creatures, all these different monstrosities. I said the ground's going to open up and they're going to come out of the ground. That's another reference to some kind of civilization in the earth. And like you said, there's Admiral Byrd and all these other people see these giant creatures living in the hollow earth. Lo and behold, there's going to be a bunch of giants coming out of the earth and destroying us. Well,
all they had to do was gather their numbers in silence.
Yeah, they're
gathering their knowledge. They're the camaraderie between the different types. I think it's interesting. The Paiute tribe in Death Valley, they describe these people. They call the Hab-Masuvs, and these people apparently took a ship in there back when there was water there, long Pleistocene era. And they lived underground in Death Valley, and they enjoyed the lakes there, and they used them to do shipping and trading. Then as the water began to recede, they stayed underground. They built silver discs that could fly instead. And every now and then the tribe would see these Hab-Masuvs walking around, and they had these animals that looked a lot like mammoths with them. Now, if you're living underground and that's your refuge, you're going to sneak out now and then to the surface to get supplies, to get things you need, and then to go back down. So there's a legitimacy to the concept that even today we could easily be running into them.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember earlier we were talking about the reptiles with the little silver motorcycles. Remember I was trying to tell you about the story that related to that? So I found it. It was in 1952, and it was called the Flatwoods Monster. Terrified 6 kids, a mom and a dog, and a bunch of other people. And the way it's described, what they all saw is this reptile-looking creature with a big metal, like a dress, but all metal. Only the arms were exposed, like, the skin, like me having a suit, my arms, and they were like reptile looking arms, had a big helmet on with big red glowing, goggles. And it had this big old, like, kind of like a pope kind of thing behind it. And it just glided, like it floated, like it didn't walk. It was like kind of like it was on like a little machine, like, like kind of like a hover bike, but no, it wasn't a bike. It was just like a little, those little things that people go around the street with 2 little wheels.
Yep.
Like that, but no wheels, but bigger. And it just floated. And right here it says 6 people saw it, and it was in I don't know what area it was in, but that's what I was trying to relate to, because this is another story that people saw, and it was the U.S. It doesn't say where it was at exactly, was it? But this happened it happened in West Virginia, September 12th, 1952. If anybody wants to look that up, it was all over the news. And they have all these drawings of it. There's a drawing of it right here. A little ugly little thing. But yeah, I wanted to put that out there because there's a lot of things that you can connect from all these different sightings that.
Oh no, that's intriguing too, because there was a German case in a cavern where when they were riding these motorcycle vehicles, they were hovercraft. So once again, we're running into the same things being described.
What and with these reptile beings, just from your opinion, what do you think? Where do you think they come from, and do you think they are evil, or do you think they're on our side?
I do not think they're on our side.
Good.
And that's not fear, because in general, I'm like, oh, Bigfoot are friendly and benevolent. No. And I'm like, oh, I like ghosts. They're pretty cool. And aliens, they're neat. I'm just a free loving person. But when it comes to these, I'm thinking if they're guided by the reptilian brain, humans have a place in their brain that's referred to as the reptilian brain.
Yeah, I heard.
And it's purely on instinct. It's very animal based. No, there's no logic involved. It's survive and be aggressor. So I don't think if I ran into a reptilian person that I would want to be anywhere within 50 miles.
Yeah, and these this whole reptilian race, you have all these you have I think it's the Hopi Indians. I may be wrong, but there's in Arizona, I believe there's carvings on the wall, petroglyphs that they wrote talking about how they were, I think we talked a little bit about this, that they were doing these ceremonies. They were they were trying to summon some outside source taught them how to summon, like they're doing like a summoning. And the story goes is that they summoned, a portal opened up, a bunch of giants came out. And, you know what I'm talking about. It's somewhere in Arizona, and they built their city on like this cliff. And it's like kind of weird. Why would you build your cities on the cliff? I forgot the name of the city. Man.
Was it up on the there's a plateau near the Grand Canyon. It's called something. The Hopi's First Mesa.
Yeah, something Mesa, and it's just built like it's just a weird place to build your city, like way off. And the story goes what the real story goes from the oral traditions or the oral stories down past histories, that they built that because after that happened, they needed to build a place high enough that the giants couldn't get them.
It's the same thing with the Pueblo people, the Anasazi and the Sinagua. That's
the one I'm talking about.
The ones that lived in the cliffs. That's exactly what they were doing. There's no doubt in my mind. In fact, before the Anasazi decided to make cliff homes, they had little settlements, but underneath their settlement, they had tunnels that they had dug. The tunnels were made so small, only a human could crawl through them, because if they needed to hide, a giant wouldn't be able to reach them. Yeah. These things, we have to spend more time on indigenous stories, because they were extreme archivists.
And I want to go even further into that story. When it's being, when I, heard about the story and I was reading about it, and I saw a documentary on it that was done by Steve Quayle and Tom Horn. They did a really good documentary. They went to the area and showed all the petroglyphs and stuff. But the story even goes further, that after these giants came out, there was like a main one that came out of the portal, and he was like the leader, I guess they would say, because he was like the one that he just looked divine, right? And the way they described it, this is a trip. They described an entity about 8-9 feet tall, shorter than the other ones. They were giants, like 15-20 feet, but still big, very skinny. And it was a reptilian looking creature that had a white gown on kind of thing and had a halo of all things. Like I've never seen a halo other than cartoons, and you never hear about it. You never hear about halos unless it's some kind of movie or something childish, but that's the first time that there was a description of a halo on a very serious story.
Yeah, that's intriguing, because the Paiutes, the Hab-Masubs they were talking about wore those same white gowns.
Yeah.
Once again, we have synchronicity everywhere. Yeah.
But the halo thing tripped me out. So my thing is that like some kind of technology that it has, or is it like, because, these reptilian beings, I like to relate these reptilian beings to what the Bible calls the seraphim angels. The seraphim means fiery serpent. So you have this. You have this angel, because there's different classes of angels, right? You got these different classes. Some look like a blonde-haired, handsome man. Some look like, reptiles, the seraphim. Some are the cherubim, got 3-4 heads, whatever. But this thing, the seraphim are described as fiery serpents. And you start reading, Jewish mythology and all this other stuff, and you get a better description. Not that you take everything for what it says, but it's a very good description that all relates to everything else. And they all have this, when these different people ran into these reptilian, divine beings, because they look different than the ones we're talking about. The ones I'm talking about, they're glowing. They're made of light. That's why they're called fiery serpents, because their eyes are glowing. And it's not like technology. It's like they're made of light. And that, to me, this creature that came out sounds like, to me, what the Bible will call the race of the seraphim angels, which is a class of angels that are reptilian. And apparently these things could, transform into anything they want to fool you. As the Bible says, be aware to not entertain angels, because you don't know if you're talking to an angel or not, because they could just, change into whatever they want. I don't know if it's these reptilian ones, but it makes sense, because the reptiles are the ones that camouflage. They adapt to the environment. Yeah. So I thought that's very interesting. The fiery.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm intrigued by the halo thing, just because I'm thinking to myself that they have a concentrated energy, and what do you use that for? Yeah, it's like a light switch. You can turn yourself on and off, and yeah. And here's something like nowadays we have Skinwalker Ranch. Anyone that's watching History Channel's history, or The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, they're running into what looks like an orb going through a mesa right where the petroglyphs are, coming out the other side. It's showing absolutely no slowdown, that it's going through a structure, kind of like UAPs that go in the ocean. They just go right in and they keep going fast. It means nothing to them, this matter that we have. So you have to wonder, I know there's a lot of legends of the openings to Agartha or Hollow Earth, Mount Shasta, the Sedona, they've said there's some there. There's just different, in Tibet, Nahanni Valley in northwest Canada. There's a lot of locations they say there's an opening. What if Skinwalker Ranch is such an opening, and what can we expect to see emerge?
Yeah, there's definitely some kind of concentrated energy, a portal of some sort there, because you have all these, you have everything from werewolves to reptile beings to UFOs to ghosts, all concentrated in that area. So like, if you want to talk about everything, you want to talk about every horror movie that was ever made, like there's a sighting of at least one monster from that movie right there. And it's all right there. You don't have to go anywhere else. You can go right to Skinwalker.
They showed a preview of next week. They're going to go in the creek and they're going to look around, but they say that they find something that's extinct. Well, I thought to myself, isn't that interesting? Because 20 miles away is Blind Frog Ranch, Discovery Channel show, The Mystery of Blind Frog Ranch. They're looking for treasure in the caverns underneath, but those caverns run all the way through that whole Uinta Basin. And so they took a picture of something that looked like a really enormous snake in the water.
Wow.
And it was going into the caverns underground. When they looked at its DNA, they said it's part snake and part very ancient, something we don't know. And so now 20 miles away, we have Skinwalker Ranch in the water with caverns finding something that's extinct. So what the heck is going on under the ground in the Uinta Basin?
Wow. See, giant snakes always have fascinated me, because it's like, even right now, the anacondas that we have right now that we know about, there's some get to about 40 feet long. That is insane. That's a massive snake. Now, we're going back back into ancient times, and we got all these civilizations of these giant serpents that were once real creatures, like
mega sloths and mega sharks, and
and every civilization, the Japanese, the Chinese, King Arthur, all these places, they all have some kind of symbol of a big dragon, snake-looking one, not the ones that like dinosaurs with wings. I'm talking about the dragons like snakes, and they have like the horns. I start to wonder, is that just some kind of metaphor, or is it actually a real thing that they saw? But then you start getting into like a Christopher Columbus. He even talked about how when he came to the Americas, he saw some very weird reptile creatures. He wasn't an idiot either. He knows what an alligator looks like. He knows what a snake looks like. And he was saying he was running into these big, giant snake, looking creatures that had little wings on it, or some had little feet on them. And then you start to think it's just like another, is this just another animal that was just dying out and got extinct, or who knows what it was, but I'm going to take his word for it.
Yeah, and I think let's say there was a cataclysm that killed off the dinosaurs. However you want to look at that. I mean, there's two stories: either they became birds or they died off. We don't know.
Yeah.
But if you look at it that way, there's no reason to think that these things didn't seek out caves and caverns and systems, or intelligence beings would have guided their flocks like Noah's Ark down below. And we don't know what's going down. I mean, think about it. Tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years, what has evolved, adapted down there? That's stunning. That's the stuff of horror movies.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get a pretty good preview of that very soon, because I was reading some articles a couple months ago, and I forgot what country it is, but I want to say it was China, of course, of all places. But they lie a lot, but they do have the technology to do this. But they were talking about, if I'm wrong, like I said, people don't Google it. I may be wrong about the country, but I'm not wrong about what the article said. The article said that they have the technology now, and they were very serious about opening a Jurassic Park type of theme park with it, because they now have the technology to make mammoths, to recreate all the dinosaurs and bring them back. And they're really dead serious about having a real life Jurassic Park theme park to bring a lot of these animals back for, of course, for money. They always want to run money and power the world. And also, nothing, once you open Pandora's box, it never goes back. So would it be cool to have this? Yes. Is it right? Is it right? Probably not.
Yeah. If you're one of those people that thinks that we are causing climate change, that it isn't something that naturally happens. In fact, this heating up is the lowest temperature heating we've ever had of a heat up. But okay, let's just say we're ruining the world and things are dying off. We can't bring dinosaurs to our climate. No. We don't have the climate for it. We don't have the foliage for it. We don't have the food for it. They would be so out of place. It would be like freezing your body and bringing you back into the year 3000.
Yeah. And you can't
have no reference. And I know people cry about polar bears dying off, but the fact is our climate heats up and cools off, and we get new creatures depending on that situation. Yeah. We have to let nature do what nature does.
Yeah, and then you can't just bring back a saber-toothed tiger and just throw them out in Africa. It's going to destroy the ecosystem. It's going to kill.
Kitty.
It's gonna make a lion.
I want to get a selfie with you.
It's gonna kill the lions off like a little kitty cat. You can't just throw these big predators in an already predatorial place. I mean, that's their home. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't just throw a T-Rex out in the jungles of Peru. No. It's going to mess everything up, and God knows what else, and kind of abominations.
Look at that we had to kill off. Earthlings killed off the Tasmanian tiger. They kind of had to. If they were going to live in that land, they couldn't live with these creatures. If you live in a rural area, they will kill off a deer population because they can't possibly support a deer population.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems really cruel, but you and I have to die. Creatures have to die. And if I'm in a place where there's famine, I might die. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
So we have to quit being such, pussies. And,
no kidding.
And just buck it up and say, there'll be a new world. There'll be different things. Other things will flourish.
Yeah.
Humans flourished. And before that, I'm sure the animals were having a wild party. There's always going to be a usurper.
Yeah. And, as everything that you're saying, I completely agree with, man. A lot of people just need to get a backbone. Ask for one for Christmas or something.
I don't know. I mean, there's certain things you fight for and certain things you have to go. It's nature. It's like when you're dying and you've tried everything you can to stay alive, and every technology and every drug and every treatment, and there comes a time you just have to succumb. It's going to happen.
I've seen the dumbest BS on the internet pertaining to all this. I've seen articles even where people are saying we need to start feeding the tigers and the lions vegetables only to save the animals. Are you an idiot? You can't. It will die. It needs to eat meat. It's a carnivore. Jeez, man. And these people are dead serious. They're dead serious about this, about, feeding predators, some kind of synthetic food. And, they care about the environment at the same time. Yet they're too stupid to understand it's going to kill all the animals off. And on it goes. And speaking of animals, another thing that I don't really like because I think they're creepy is cats. And I'll tell you why. Because cats are the only creature on this earth that have reptile eyes on a mammal. Why is that? Have you ever thought about that?
I'm trying to think if that philtrum or whatever that is. I'm not sure if other animals have it. Of course, we say Bigfoot probably does.
No, but lions, tigers, they have reptile. They're the only ones that have the slit eyes. They're the only ones, and they're trippy. They're really trippy animals. They're worshipped by all the ancient gods. They might be some kind of product of some kind of genetic manipulation because there's no other creature on this earth other than the house cat or whatever that race is called of cats that have that reptilian eye. And isn't that strange? That's kind of strange to me.
It is. I mean, let's go with an intriguing concept. What if they are actually the aliens planted here to study us?
They do stare a lot. All they do is watch you.
They do. And they won't answer to their name. No.
They do their own thing. They do whatever they want when they want. They're very self-sufficient animals.
They are.
Do you have a cat?
Nope.
You ever owned one?
Oh, yeah. I grew up with a cat. Yeah. We had a 2-story home and I had trained it. I had a rope with a basket and I would lower the basket. And when the cat was done for playing outside, it would climb into the basket and I would pull it back up inside the house. But I mean, it was kind of worthless. I mean, a dog will love you. A cat, maybe it'll love you if it feels like it, Not a big cat fan. I mean, I like them, but they're not worth sneezing over.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. I just don't like, I had a bunch of animals. I'm just done taking care of animals. I just don't want to be responsible. The last pets I had were 2 tortoises. And that was the last time I had some pets because it's just.
I've been pet free for like, I don't know. Probably 12 years, 14 years I've been pet free.
It feels good, doesn't it?
I like to come and go, but I got to admit, I'm a single girl. At times, I just wish I had something to pet, love, and talk to and not look like I'm insane because I'm talking to the lamp,
Oh, God. You got me.
You get lonely.
No, I think to have a dog is probably the one and only thing I would do. Cause they're like alarms, they're always protecting you. They hear a noise outside.
If you have one dog too, you can just like jump in the car. Let's go somewhere and hike. The dog's like, yeah, go for a hike.
Do you live out in a rural area? Like, or you live in like a suburbs type of place?
Oh, I'm basically in the Phoenix proper. So it's all concrete jungle. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I saw a picture that you posted. You're like kind of kicking back with your feet up and the window looked like you live out like in a grass that goes on forever.
I'm lucky. Yeah. I'm living in an extended stay hotel because I haven't decided where I'm going. So, before I make my decision, I'm just, I've holed up and writing a lot of screenplays, but out back of the hotel, they have a lot of trees. So
it's beautiful.
It keeps me alive because I'm like a freaky nature girl. I've always had organic gardens. Plants are my pets and family. I live outside. I could live in a shack or a shed. I don't care. As long as I have an acre to play with, I'm happy.
I'm the same way. I could live in a box as long as I have everything that I need. I'm not a materialistic guy. I don't need to have Louis Vuitton, all this bullshit.
I grew up in mansions and I do not ever want to do that again. I'm very simple. I don't want stuff to own me. I want to be carefree. I can come and go.
And that right there is very Jesus-like, and I'll tell you why. So before we end the show here, I want to just say this. When Jesus came to the people, he came on a donkey, right? Just, no fancy army, no gold, none of this nonsense. He just came riding on a donkey, and most people didn't believe he was Jesus because of how he presented himself. Everybody expected to see this big, glowing, whatever, some divine looking entity, right? But Jesus was very simple. He just did what needed to be done and got it done. And then when you look at what Satan does, when he plays his, so to say, metaphorically, when he moves his pieces on the chessboard. He always comes very loud and fancy. You know, you have Nimrod. You know, Nimrod was adorned with gold. I mean, he's an Antichrist figure to me. Adorned with gold. He needed the biggest buildings. He needed the biggest armies and the best weapons and the hottest women with him. And gets defeated by Abraham, who grew up in a cave with Noah. He grew up in a cave with Noah, grew up very poor, walked in, caused havoc, and just took him out just like that. That's God always comes in very low key and with what you need, and that's it. All this fancy stuff, they all fall. All fall.
You can't come from ego, because once you do that, you have forgotten your divine. You're mortal related. All you can relate to is being mortal. And that's such a sad thing. That's why I think Joel Osteen and people like him, you know, Gates, no, there's no worth in that. There's no value in that. They made a lot of money for them.
It can't be that.
And their interests, and not for anything else. And I think there's nothing better than like having a sword back working and then buying your neighbor a loaf of bread. Yeah. You know, that's the way it's done, because we can't survive without our community.
Yeah. And I start to really think sometimes that these people, all the stuff they've done, all the horrors that they've done that we don't know about. I mean, what we see on the surface is already enough bad. It's already bad enough. If it was me or you doing that, we'd be in prison right now. But for some reason, they keep walking around.
But people respect people like P. Diddy.
Oh man, P. Diddy. I'd never liked that guy.
The president.
I never liked that guy.
Like how, and the Kardashian family, like what? No wonder we're screwed up. I mean,
oh my God, I got so upset.
False gods.
I get so upset. I have this friend. I'm not gonna say his name because listen to my podcast, but he's gonna know who he is when I say this. And I don't know if he does it to troll me or to annoy me, but he cuts my hair. That's how he's gonna know who he is. Cuts my hair. And he does it to just annoy me, I guess. Like, for example, like, we're talking about Kanye West today, and I can't stand the guy. Like, I don't care enough to know what's going on with him. Right. So I saw an article about him, and, you know, just going through Instagram, you know, I saw an article about him on the New York Post page. I don't follow his page. I just saw an article about him, and he's now starting a porn industry. Right. And I brought that up to my barber, you know, just having barbershop talk, and he's a Christian as well, like me, but he likes to just ask stupid questions. He goes, what did he say? He goes, yeah, but his girl's really hot though. And I go, I don't care if his girlfriend's hot. He's like, it's not what I'm talking about. And he's all, bro, you don't think she's hot? That's probably why he wants to do porn, you know, because he can't take it. You know, how she walks around half naked. I said, that's the stupidest thing you ever heard. So you're telling me if you see a girl who's dressed like that, you can't control yourself, you need to go there and jump on her? He's all, no, that's what you're saying. I said, I don't feel that way. I said, I don't even care who she is. And then he was like, he's all, what's her name again? I was like, dude, I don't know her name. I don't know anything about her. I just wanted to bring up a conversation that Kanye West claimed he's a Christian. I thought it'd be a very interesting conversation to see how he went from this to making porn. And then all he could talk about was, but man, he dated the Kardashians. And it's like, bro, I don't care. But bro, they're really hot. They're so hot. I'm like, dude,
Kim was a porn star herself.
I said, dude, I don't think they're hot. I don't think they're attractive. He's all, you don't think they're attractive? If they were here right now in a bikini, you would have hit up on them? I was like, dude, no. I was like, me and you think different, dude. I was like, you're basically telling me that if a girl is half naked in front of you, you can't handle it. You need to go over there and approach her. That's what you're saying about you. I said, I'm not like that. I said, take me to the public pool. There's be a lot of girls wearing bikinis. I'm not going to be like, oh my God. I was like, are you seriously asking me these stupid questions right now? I was like, this is the stupidest question I've ever heard in my life. And they keep going, I don't know, bro. All I know is that if you had an opportunity to date Kim Kardashian, I know you would. She has money and she's hot. I said, bro, I promise you on everything that I love, I would rather blow my head off before I do that. I said, I'm not attracted to these women at all because I don't see that. I just see who they are. I see the soul and they look like hags. Okay. That's what they look like to me. Like, I'm
not seeing humanity in any of these faces. I mean, I have Bell's palsy, so I can't express a lot because I'm partially paralyzed.
Oh, I didn't even know that. My dad has it, but you can't tell either. You can't tell.
Yeah. I'm almost 3 years into it, but it's still there. I look at these people. I'm like, you don't even resemble human beings. Like there are girls taking their Photoshop photos of themselves to a surgeon to try to look like how they would look if they're jacked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not even freaking human. Like, they creep me. They're worse than seeing a monster from a monster movie. It's terrifying. Where's the humanity in them? You know, we're becoming these plastic robotic beings. Everybody's an anime.
Yeah.
You know, it's scary. I get bugged a lot because I'm in the film industry and people are like, oh, what do you think of this celebrity? And did you hear about who married who? And I'm like, I'm kind of strange, but I actually write screenplays to become movies.
Yeah.
I don't study the actors.
Yeah. Who cares?
And as a researcher in paranormal, people are always like, did you hear about so-and-so Bigfoot researcher or this ghost show? I'm like, I'm not studying the participants. I'm studying the subject.
Yes, that's
I'm
how
a nerd.
it works.
I'm a proud nerd.
Man, these people are sick,
I'm just not
man.
into celeb. And I have
get it.
facial amnesia, so they mean nothing to me because I don't know their faces. That helps.
Let me be very clear for the audience. I absolutely have no interest whatsoever, not 1% in any celebrity's life. I do not care at all. I am not about to spend my life being involved in somebody else's life who I don't know, who I can't meet, who doesn't care about me, and who doesn't even have any morals or any brains. Like, I just don't care. Like, if I had a size of the blimp, I just put, I don't care, dude. I really don't. I don't care.
I know, I get it. But you know what that says about you? You're an independent thinker. You're not a lemming.
Absolutely not.
It's people who aren't leaders or aren't independent, don't know who they are. They need to look to other people to follow and to imitate and to want to be like. In my entire life, I've never envied anyone. I've never wanted to be them. I'm on a very individual voyage. There's no comparison. I don't want what anyone has. I don't want to look like them. I don't want their money. I don't want their status.
No,
I'm an individual.
That's exactly the conversations I have with this guy. He's always like trying to use that, like, but you're telling me you wouldn't do that, but you'll make this much money. I was like, dude, I don't care, dude. Like, why can't you, the definition of I don't and the word care, put that together, bro. I don't care, man. Like, I don't follow what celebrities do. You know, I see all these articles, oh, so-and-so broke up. Who cares? I mean, who cares that this celebrity broke up? Why do I care? What's that going to do for me? My life is more interesting than theirs. I'm sorry, but I'm more interested in my life than I am in their life because I just don't care.
Yeah. And that was a big thing for me too. I never wanted to be recognizable. I don't like the idea that my privacy is gone and that strangers will approach me and think they know me.
Yeah.
I don't know why anyone would ever want to be famous. It's like the worst curse of all. They've become insane little agoraphobic people that are hiding out, you know?
And I really do think it is a curse because, I mean,
I have enough stalkers. I don't need more.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
That means you're doing something right. You're doing something right.
I've always had stalkers. You can't get rid of that. But boy, I wouldn't want the celebrity style stalkers. That's a whole nother level.
No, those people get really crazy, and I mean they'll camp outside of your house for 2 weeks just to take a picture of you. That's wild, man.
And they think they know you, and they think that everything you say is somehow a subliminal message to them.
Yeah. They're getting all panties in a bunch because you know Megan Fox said hi to me, and I think she likes me and she wants me, dude.
Oh yeah.
I used to work in Hollywood. Let's just say that, and I wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
Not impressed. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care who you are. You talk to me the wrong way, we're going to have some problems. And that's pretty much what I ran into with a lot of the directors and the producers on the show. Oh, you know, one time, one of those producers, and he goes by the name of, his initials are JB. You know what? I don't care. His name is Jerry Bruckheimer. He's an ass. So, long story short, he said something, cause I was a PA, an assistant. And, you know, when they say something on the radio, everybody hears it that has one. And, he needed me. We're doing, it's called the martini shot. That's the last shot of the night. That's what they call it. Martini shot. That means you've been there all day trying to get this shot down. Martini shot means this is the last shot of the night. We got to go home after. So everybody's like, yes, we're good. You know, last shot, get to go home. So I go back to do my part. And, no one told me what was going to happen during the scene. I just thought we were doing what we did before. But things changed and no one told me this. So during the scene, no one even says action. Okay. I just show up and then they're already going. Right. And I thought this was like a rehearsal because no one said anything. And then Jerry Bruckheimer was talking like the actor's here and I'm like behind the wall but I'm still there. Like, even though the camera's not hitting me, I'm still part of the whole scene. And, he's talking like looking my direction. And I'm just like, I said, what? And then he kept talking. I said, dude, I can't hear you. Cause I thought he was talking to me. No one told me nothing. And then he goes and he says it on the radio cause I'm kind of far away. He's all, you effing idiot, you blah, 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 just cursing me out, right? Cursing me out. So the story was, I guess, they didn't tell us, their fault. So what happened was they're redoing the scene and there's 2 actors in the scene. Jerry Bruckheimer was feeding the actor the script so he can get the reaction from the actor, but doing only a solo shot without the other actor in the scene. So that's what was happening, but I wasn't told that. So I thought he was talking to me. Man, I got so mad. I was about 20 years old, but I was a hothead when I was young. And mind you, I've been boxing my whole life. I know how to defend myself and I'm used to this stuff doesn't scare me. This stuff just triggers me. So I went over there and he's yelling at me. And after the scene was over, he was trying to, hey, bye everybody. It was my turn to say bye. And he was like acting like that just didn't happen. He just embarrassed me in front of everybody. And I told him, I was like, dude, if you ever effing talk to me like that again, I said, I'm going to beat your ass. I said, I'll whip your ass. Like, you do not know me. I said, I do not deserve to be talked to that way. I said, I'm not your slave. I'm not your bee. I said, you do that again, man, we're going to have some big problems. I don't care who you are. But by this time, I'm getting closer and closer and they're starting to pull me back. And I said, don't touch me. So I'm leaving. I said, don't ever talk to me like that again. I don't get who you are. And that was it. And after that, I wasn't on the show no more. They didn't call me back, probably because of that, but I really didn't care. But that was just a sample of what I was like, this is what I have to deal with. I'm not doing it. I'm going to go to jail for knocking one of these dudes out. So that was
you can see how Hollywood evolves into this incredible sickness and just cesspool, because I know I was trained that when you're on set, you do whatever they ask. You're just an underling. Don't question it. Do as you're told. I used to model. I used to have my modeling agency. The owner's husband would try to, I booked you for a show, and I'd show up. He'd go, I booked too many people. Why don't you and I go to dinner? I knew all my life, every time I've ever had a male above me, it's always been alluded to. Man. And so in Hollywood, I can see where these women, it takes them building their career before they come back and name the abusers. But it sucks because 20 years went by with young girls on the sleeping, on the director's couch with these creepy guys. Yeah. And you shut up and you pull the line. And if everybody says we're liberal, you say, I'm so liberal. I'm more liberal than any other liberal. So you can get a job.
Nope.
It's not how they feel. It's not what they think. They've sold their souls. They've sold their bodies. It's a cesspool.
I am absolutely not going to do that. But
yep.
So I want to tell you another story, but we're going to do this one off the air about Hollywood. I want to tell you one, but
okay.
But thank you for coming on. Any last words, Sharon, before we cut this off?
No, if you have interest in any of the subjects that we talk about, my ghosthuntingtheories.com, you will find 14 years worth of posts on there. No, actually 16 years worth of posts on there on every subject imaginable. There's a lot of info. I give a lot of links so you can go research. And, I always say this as a disclaimer, the way I view things and my conclusions will not be yours, but I am so for you going and finding the ones that sing to you. So I'm not saying I have the answers. I'm saying I have my answers.
Yes, amen to that. And I'll definitely have her back on that. Her page has a lot of information. I don't know if you update it, but it looks like it changes kind of every day or days at a time.
Well, yeah, if there's new posts, it'll put them up. I changed the look of the blog recently because I'd kept it the same for too long. I was tired of looking at it.
No, it's awesome, guys. Everybody check out her page. There's a lot of information on there, and of all different subjects too. That's the best part. It's not just about grays. It's not just about ghosts. It's called Ghost Hunting Theories, but there's a lot more than ghosts on there. There's I think the first time I saw your page was like a reptile picture and a whole article and a giant. I was like, I'm already locked in.
Oh yeah. I'm into horror and Halloween and so many things. So if you're into anything that's a little bit disturbing and creepy or unexplained,
this is the show.
It's there. Yeah.
So once again, thank everybody for listening. I'm your host, Lionel Tavares, and thank you everybody who's stuck with me for these past couple years. This is the reason why the show is growing. And people like Sharon and all the guests we have on that, you know, that actually like to talk to me, believe it or not, because they come on more than once, so it must be doing something right. God is definitely blessing me and all my guests. Other than that, have a good night or good morning or good evening, wherever you guys are at around the world. And for me, it is definitely good night from California.